Good morning. My name is Elizabeth Vries, and today I'm heading off into the mediumship realms where I spend a lot of my life. Since I was a little kid, I was one of those dreamy children that walked in imaginary worlds and also had a lot of visions. When I was about 4, as I've explained before, my mama left and married another man, and I still saw her once a month. But I was the youngest of 4 children, and I spent a lot of time with my dog in the nature alone. And I would sneak out of the house in the middle of the night and go down into ravines at age 5 and 6 and sit amongst the trees with my dog around 3 or 4 in the morning. Nobody had any idea that I was doing this. And I would have a lot of visions. Missing my mother, I had one time in a field with my dog. It was autumn and there were golden, scarlet, exquisite leaves on all of the trees and on the ground. And I took all the leaves and I made them into an enormous altar to an imaginary king. And while I was there, a beautiful being appeared to me, and he said, I want you to know that your mother, you're not living with her anymore, but that you always have beautiful souls around you, protecting you, and you will always have a lot of physical, emotional, and mental protection in your life. So that made me really happy, and my dog was all barking and running in circles and diving in the leaves. And I went home, and I never told anybody about these things because I had an intrinsic understanding that they'd think I was either off my rocker or delusionary or making it up. So I kept it to myself. But through all those years, I visited with those beings and I had talks with them, and when I'd ride my horse in the nature, I would tell them what was going on and could they tell me the answers, and started listening more to the inner realms, and that was always a very comfortable place for me to exist. When I got married, I was separated from my family. They disapproved of who I married, and I was the black sheep for a while. So I was living with kids and stepchildren and my children, and we were all a large family, and I spent enormous time alone. When my children went to school, when the older children went to school, I would spend hours and hours with the horses. I rode 6 horses a day. But mostly I was in deep communication, not only with the animals, but with my inner being. We'll go on about the rest of my life another time, but what I wanted to talk about today was the value of life review before you die, the value of daily life review, how much you can grow, how much you can leave behind, how much you can let go of, how much you can understand and gain new perspectives through taking a daily life review. So what I do in the morning when I get up, I go outside, I set out my daily intentions, which are very simple. Then at the end of the day, I spend a good half hour reviewing the day, what I said to people, because my readings, there's a lot of karma to giving intuitive mediumship readings. You have to be very careful. You don't mislead people, try to control people, say what people want to hear. It's a world of really powerful integrity. And if you don't live in your integrity and give exactly the messages you're receiving, and sometimes you hold back on certain messages because you're not allowed to share, for example, if you see when someone's going to die, or you get a message, they ask you something like, is my husband having an affair? It's not for me to go prying into her husband's life and give her information that she could use against him. So my readings are very sacred and very private, and each reading is totally different, and there's always something that I gain out of the reading as much as there is person receiving the reading. So when I started doing the mediumship readings and we would connect with the other side, the first thing I would say is, well, what are you doing? What happened when you first crossed? How are you feeling now? Because the person sitting across from me, or the person on the telephone, was deeply concerned about the welfare of the one that had moved on before them. And as I was sharing the other day, a lady came to me and said that she had a very, very intense life review. So I just wanted to tell you, when you first leave your body, you go into a divine place. You shed the cramped, enclosed kind of personality of just that one lifetime, and you move into a broader spectrum of who you truly are. But you do have a life review, not immediately, a little bit after you cross over. First part is more restoration, especially if you've had a long illness or a sudden death and you're not quite knowing where you are, you're not acclimatized, it was fast, you're out of your body, and all of a sudden you're on the other side. And I do want to reassure you that several things that were shown to me. One is when somebody is in the moment of death, they are out of their body and they feel nothing. There's no terror or fright or sense of pain. That they're removed from that, and they have an easy slipping out of the body. Some die more peacefully and more gracefully than others, but in general, everybody's death is not, even if you're in a terrible car accident, you're actually pulled out of the body before the impact, when the guides around you know that this is your time to leave permanently. I remember once I had a father come to me, and he had lost his mother and father and little girl on Christmas Eve. They had decided to take the little girl out to see Christmas lights, and they got in a horrible accident, and all three were killed instantly. And he was terrified that the little girl had suffered, and it was just breaking him apart. And he'd been in severe depression for 2 years, and somebody had suggested he come to me for a reading. So when he sat down, I said, there's a little girl in the room, because I knew nothing, who had been dancing around my chair, singing and skipping, and she even showed me a place she used to hide in her kitchen, one of the cupboards. She'd play a game on her mother, so her mother couldn't find her. And then she said, Daddy, I'm doing okay, I'm doing great, and I'm with Grandma and Grandpa, and we're having a wonderful time. We just want you to know that we're all right. And she said, I told you, Daddy, I told you I was going. I gave you a picture. Remember, I gave you a picture of a car and the angel. I can feel the little girl who right now when I'm talking about her. And she said, I'm going to give you a picture. I gave you that picture 2 weeks before I died of the angels lifting me out of the car. And he started sobbing and sobbing. And he opened his briefcase, and he took out of his briefcase a picture of a little stick girl with 2 angels with wings who had lifted him out of the car, and she had felt nothing. She just had this flying into another realm with her grandparents. So I do want to reassure you about that people that you've lost that have been in horrific accidents do not, they're lifted out of this situation before the impact. I really want to reassure you of that. Well, to get back to the life review, please do your life review while you're still in your body. Sit down and slowly go through your existence and feel the journey that you've taken with the people with whom you are closest. And even, excuse me if I keep rubbing my nose, but it's itchy today. And take a good hard look from childhood upward about your life, and look at the people that you feel you got out of balance with, or people that you feel like you need to create some kind of restitution with them or amends. And if they've already moved on, to speak to them, to ask for their forgiveness, and to try to rectify that in some form on the earth. So say you had a grandmother that you didn't treat well, or you were rude to and angry or whatever. Find somebody older here and do kind things for that person, and talk to your grandmother. I'm doing this in a form of making amends for what I did with you. The people on the other side have a broader perspective, and they will deeply appreciate that and support you and help you to heal. The other thing, that what happens when we cross and we have a life review, say we're married to somebody, that person is still in the earth, and we cross and we go through the marriage, and we don't just see what we did to that other person, we actually go into that person's response, and we feel how they felt when we did what we did. Now, sometimes we did inane, irresponsible things without being aware of how much we were hurting those on the other side. There's somebody touching my face right now, stroking my face. So beautiful. And thank you for that. And that's my children. They always do that. They always stroke my face or my brow. So what I'm trying to explain is, say you gave somebody great joy, like you went out and you sacrificed something and you bought your child a special gift for Christmas, and you didn't have much money, and the child opened it and there was just this joy. You will feel that joy that they felt. You will feel the gift of your gift to them. But say you did something quite hurtful to somebody, or you were just thoughtless, you will feel what they felt as you acted that way. So by review, I mean, obviously we're not going to remember every act we've done since childhood, but there are going to be big things that stand out in our mind and in our heart. And if we do a daily life review and show the remorse, or say we had set our intentions and we didn't fulfill them that day, we slot them in for the next day, so that we fulfill the deepest longings of our soul and try to act out of compassion and set aside the anger. If we could see the effects of our anger on other people, and the effects of what anger does, and how deeply it affects everything. All the plants in your room, the walls in your house absorb it, your children absorb it, your animals feel it, and we get to feel all that. So I'm just, really reminding you. And when I did a lot of hospice work, people would often cry a lot, and they wouldn't regret not having taken that job or having moved, but they would regret not having shown more love. And they would regret how much they slipped into their moods or their self-absorption or selfishness and didn't tend to others. And invariably, people tell you, they'll start crying. Say somebody knows they're going to die and they were told that by a doctor or something. Invariably, they will start crying because the remorse of the missed opportunities to love will well up from within. So you'll see a lot of emotion come out of people that basically could have been quite non-emotional in the physical body, or agitated or angry, or living in a space of self, just self, and not considering others. So I'm just bringing that up today. We're going to get into the life review much more, but I did share with you the other day how people that have great, you remember how Christ said, he that is in the position of the highest will often go to the lowest, and he that is the lowest and most humble in a state of service will be lifted to the highest. This is true. So people that have lived kind of a humble life of really, truly heartfelt giving and understanding the needs of others and feeling the hearts of others, and really compassionate and generous with their money and with their time and with their listening, those people will be raised to a very high vibration in this life, and we will end up going to where we end up vibrating in this life. So all the goodness, all the choices of goodness, all the building of character, all the upliftment that we've shown to others, all the listening, just quiet listening or holding or tender touch, that will add unto our vibration, because it's in those moments that we're allowing love to flow through us, and love heals us as it heals others. So I'd like to end there by choosing a card and wishing you all a blessed day. There's so much I want to share about my mediumship readings and how they work, and the different stories of people that I've talked to on the other side, how I've learned so much about it, and what solace it gives to the hearts of others. So I'm going to choose a card for our world at this time. What is the message from the spirit realms to our world? And the cards I'm using are called soul cards. They have no words on them. They just have a sense of a feeling, of colors, of a message. This is the most exquisite card, just exquisite. Look at that. This is the card of giving. Look at the hands, look at the aura around the hands. Look at the wisdom in the face. Look at the blue of the generous, gentle. It's kind of a male-female card, because the red is more the fire of the male energy, and the blue the divine mother nurturing energy. So it's a beautiful card for right now on our earth, when we are in, this is the opposite of self-absorption. This is the opposite of someone receiving the light from above, as you can see, the light from above, and then giving it out through the hands, giving all it has to Mother Earth through the hands. So it's very beautiful. So today I say it's about giving, but as you're giving, you're receiving the divine inspiration and the divine sense of being loved as you love. Thank you, and may God be with you, and may we all grow each day in our capacity to express mercy to others. And may we also grow in wisdom. Thank you.